Oh. Okay.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, or good afternoon now. Would you please rise for a brief performance as the Grand Funk Rotary Choir, under the direction of our beloved Alan Burns.
Okay. Page 18, guys. Bottom of the page. Page 18.
Is that this? Or this?
Same thing. Page 18. How many of you all know that one?
I do not know it.
I do not.
Chip, good man. I'm glad you knew it because you helped put it together. How many of you know that page 18 bottom song?
Give it to us one.
You're going to learn it today if you don't. Because next week, what's the big occasion? This
Valentine's.
All right, you better know it, and this will be take the sheet with you. That's because this is the music of that song, and it'll be a reminder for you to pick up a card for that special.
And flowers and candy.
All right. If you don't know, I can go through it once myself, and then we'll all do the verses. Okay.
A shield for Hallmark? What?
We can't hear him.
Simple song, okay? Both verses. Help me walk this hard to time. Help me walk this hard that's God. Just why I because God made the stars to shine. Because God made God one. Because God made the sun so. Because God made you. That's why I.
Now, based on that performance, if you do sing this, you better have the card and the flowers and the candy.
Money.
We'll do better next time. All right, would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation. Would you please join in prayer or meditation as you choose, as I say, bless his food to our use and us to thy service. Amen. The buffet is open, ladies and gentlemen.
And
please
guests?
step up.
We
Oh,
have
yeah.
a
Oh, we have guests.
on your
Sorry, first, Don Moret, our speaker today. Can't wait to hear your comments. And do we have anyone else? Okay, Don, step to the forward. Ladies, step to the floor. And
Yeah, you got
so you
gotta finish eating early.
show them the ropes.
Yeah, show the ropes.
Hello, Paul.
So Bill, how are ya? Oh, I'm planning to go by there afterwards. I got another notice saying tickets are still available. Click this link and it's $25 a ticket. So I don't know.
The hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing now.
I know. I'm gonna go by afterwards. And if you sign up for some promotion in town to make some tour of all the shops, all you gotta do is get your card, and then that's one of the benefits of getting this card. You get a free ticket.
Okay, well, you're gonna.
Well, that's my understanding from what
You're gonna let
Ginger
me
told
know.
me. I'll let you know.
Hi, Tom. Hi, Tina.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, it's good to see you.
Yes, sir.
Bill Payne, can you hear me?
Jackie, we can't see you.
I don't have a picture on. I don't feel like putting on clothes.
Oh, come on.
Oh, that was a nice announcement.
Don't be so finicky. Tom Godwin is here. You see him there?
Hello,
Uh,
Tom.
Hey, Tom.
oh, there he is. I see him.
Okay, I'm gonna stop recording.
Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, we have a really good speaker today, and so I'm gonna start a little bit early. And first off, we already greeted our guests. I would like to start with some announcements. Bill, would you lead off tell us a little bit about the reality store?
That's the announcement. How many are familiar with the financial simulation for the youngsters that the 4-H puts on? Okay, those are you who aren't. This is a program the 4-H unit here in Eastville puts on every year for the Broadwater and Northampton High students. And they're given a budget, and then they go around the room, kind of like in a speed dating format, and they spend their money. And like I'll be the utility guy, Bill Murphy might be the medical guy, and they learn how to manage money all in a morning of about 2 hours. Now, the 4-H needs volunteers to be Bill Murphy, to be me, to be Chip. So if you're interested, I've sent an email out. Read your mail, but if you're interested, please see me. They could use your help. The date is March 2nd.
Did you include me, Bill?
I put your name down, Jackie.
Yeah, but I didn't hear you say it. I heard Bill Payne, Bill Murphy.
Oh, God. Here we go again.
Give her credit.
Wrong with you, Bill? You just met your guy.
Yeah. And I meant Katie. Katie is the electric company.
So you've already got 5?
No, I only have Jackie and myself.
Oh, okay. How many do you need?
As many as we can get, because
Okay.
we can have 2 people at a table. So if you're interested, please see me.
What's the name of the program?
Reality what?
Reality store.
Reality
Well, that's
store,
the short name, yeah.
which doesn't really explain what it is. It's a financial simulation for teenagers.
Folks, this is, workforce development and working in the schools is kind of an emphasis this year. We really do need to back projects like this. I am going to circulate a sign-up sheet, and I hope you will find some time in your busy schedule to help out. It's a one-shot deal, and it might be a lot of fun.
It is fun.
That's gonna be still high.
March 2nd
Where?
at the high school.
What day of the week?
I don't know, March 2nd.
Thursday.
Yeah, it is a Thursday. It's a morning. Katie knows more about it than I do.
Okay, as a matter of fact, you also have an announcement, if I understand correctly.
I do. Okay, so one more time, I'll pass this around. If you haven't signed up already for our road cleanup, it's this coming Saturday, weather permitting.
Yeah.
And it looks like it might be raining, so the rain date is the following Saturday, 9 o'clock. We'll meet at the golf cart place. And this time I have a pen, so if you want to pass it around, if you didn't get a chance to sign up last time, sign up now, include your email or phone number, and when you start.
By the old grocery store.
How many do you have? We have 11 so far.
Good.
And that would be a good thing. The more hands, what do they say? Many hands make light work or whatever. So keep an eye on your email though, early Saturday morning. If we call it off, I'll send an email to everybody on the list and just say, see you next Saturday, the 18th. All right.
Al, I sent an email that I would participate on Saturday.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Oh, good. That was Tina?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay, very good. There's another need, as you know, we have two new members. And Gary Ballard and Ken Buda. So they became official and they have their sponsors as of last week. However, we now need two mentors. So if you're good at like that DB and you would like to take a couple of minutes and just make sure that that each of them, you'll be assigned one. We need two, so we need two sponsors. Two mentors, just to be responsible for leading them through 6 or 8 things. How many are on that list, Paul? The mentor list.
Well, I don't know, 8 or 9 things.
8 or 9, okay. But they're all pretty simple, and it's a great way to help people get into the workings of the clubs.
Jim, I'm not sure we gave them their pins.
Yes.
No, I haven't.
Yep.
What? Do they
Yes.
have them?
We gave bids last week.
Oh, we do?
Okay.
We did, I hope.
I did.
Okay.
You get a pin, Gary?
No, where's?
Well, we should simulate a presentation. How'd you get your pen?
Oh, there you go. Sure, keep starting. Oh, that's great. Did they forget to tell you that if you don't wear your
Yes, I
pen, you
just
owe
told
$75? Okay, well, for new. All right, we'll let you up. Okay, how about Happy Gal? Oh, yes.
I got one more now. Doug told me that said you'd be interested in discussing the forms opt-in, opt-out policy for meals. And all the board members who can't stick around after the lunch today. We're going to talk about that and try to get some recommendations together to send to the board. So if you're interested in helping out with that, or if you have an opinion you want to share, please stick around and have some time.
Very good. Thank you. It is time, I believe, for the Queen of Hearts. And so would everyone take a look at the cards if they have
$11.
$11 in the pot, okay, or the winnings. I'm sorry. Good.
No, it's only.
11 total?
Man. Yeah. Well, Holly told she has the ace of spades.
Where's the redemption for 66? How many people have cards? Raise your cards. Who's the high roller today?
Oh, Holly, just stand up.
on me.
I did.
Queen of Spades over here. Oh.
Spades of West Beach.
Are you bringing that from home?
Spades.
Come on up. All right, there you go.
Whoa.
Don't ever give me money.
We get, so it's 11 total. So that's. So $6 of that goes to the club.
Okay.
It's a moneymaker for the club.
50 cents.
Then half of what's left
$2.50.
goes to Holly. $3. And then $2 get that into the pot. Now the pot's something like $68.
Oh, yeah.
Holly, you're not going to the high school to count.
And if
It's gotta pay taxes.
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah. Sorry, Holly.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for $50 after that happy moment for Holly. So who's got happy dollars to spend this week? Al.
I have $5 happy because all of the volunteers want to show up for the road cleanup. Thanks for all of your volunteering.
I'm happy for you, Al.
I'm 5 happy.
All right.
I'll be 10 happy if it doesn't rain on Saturday. Hit me up next Tuesday. I'll let you know how it works out.
Who else? Any happy dollars? Someone's gotta be happy. Bill?
I'm extremely happy because our club is sending 4 students to RILA.
Whoa, this
in
is
a couple of
new.
weeks. No, it's not. We do it every year.
Well, same kids every 4 years. Don't you learn it the first time?
No, 4 new kids.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
That's great.
I'm happy.
I'm $5 happy.
Okay, I'd love to get something for the newspaper with their names in it,
Oh, okay.
but we can talk after.
Yeah.
So at any rate, or who were they? What's happening?
2 kids from Broadwater and 2 kids from Northampton
Great.
High.
How were they chosen?
They're the faculty chooses them because they're leaders in their school, and they're going to meet with other leaders across the district in Farmville over the where is it?
Franklin.
No, it's not Franklin. No, it's Farmville.
Wakefield.
What is Wakefield? Wakefield. It's the 4-H camp. That's the 4-H camp. The 4-H camp. And we keep a secret where it is.
Yeah.
What we've done once, and Holly, listen up. In the past, we've invited them to come speak to us
Oh,
on their
okay,
experience.
great.
And
Okay.
if we can get them,
We
to do
usually
that.
do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
And Bill Payne gets them to the camp fast when he drives.
I got a ticket one year.
Leadership training. Those stoplights. Who's the manager?
Speed trap, speed trap.
All right. Anyone else? I'm gonna throw in $5 because my daughter successfully, well, I don't know successfully. I won't know until Friday. So maybe there's another 5 next week. But all I know is she finished her certification exam without tears. So, so I'm giving $5 for no tears. Anyone else? Any other?
I have happy dollars, Jim.
Oh, wait,
All right.
Tina.
So I have 10 happy dollars because my middle son, Gary, who will be graduating from UVA in May, just got accepted into their master's program for the Curry building, education building.
Wow. All right. Now, and
Super
what's
excited.
what's the subject of it? The Curry building.
So, yeah, Curry, which is the School of Education.
Uh-huh.
So he will be studying higher education and business administration.
Cool. Bravo. We
super excited.
need good people there.
I need to add that
Hey, Jim, I have
Gary
a,
is probably one of the finest young men I've ever met. He always worked on the trash pickup with us.
Oh, really?
And yeah, so he's a future Rotarian.
Great.
Yes.
Sponsored him at Boise.
Oh,
Yes.
wonderful. Well, please tell him that his fan club in Cape Charles is rooting for him.
Oh, thanks.
All right.
hey, Jim, I have happy dollars as well.
Reggie has.
Oh, Reggie has. Reggie, good.
Yes, we just celebrated my dad's 94th birthday, so 5 happy dollars for that. That's a happy occasion.
I
for
didn't
us.
hear you. Did you say 94 happy dollars?
I said 94th birthday.
Oh, my bad. My bad. I'm still trying to make up for the money I gave away earlier. Okay, so thank you, Reggie, and congratulations. I think now it is time to ask Chip to introduce Don.
Sure. I had the privilege several weeks ago to meet and talk with Don Merritt at a little social function and learn a little bit about his background and 5 happy dollars because he agreed to come and speak here today.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Don is the president and I believe founder of Ockham Health. health services, and he came to start that because of a background in healthcare equities at Sherman Lehman. And so Don is a bit of a visionary on healthcare and cost and keeping it down is the whole thing. So Don agreed to come give us a little bit about a background on his company, and also field any questions about the state of healthcare on the Eastern Shore and what might be the vision for it in the future. So, Don.
Okay. Round of applause. So first, sorry, I'll give you the why. The why I got into this, made a change and got into this back. It wasn't really a change; it was kind of coming back to it. But anyway, so when I first got out of college, I worked at the Hubert Humphrey Fellowship at the UN, and we had a neat little program there that actually brought third world professionals from all over the world in those days. One of the ones I was actually in charge of was Syria. That went well for a while and then not so well. But anyway, it brought health administrators from those countries, and these were people who were pretty far up in their, they were in cabinet level positions or whatever. So we brought them to the United States and we put them into US colleges to learn our health administration policy, with the idea that when we sent them back, they could implement some of those policies back in their own countries and make a difference and whatever. And then from there, I went on to Lehman Brothers, and this was the 80s. It was interesting. At Lehman Brothers, we used to have a saying, "It's all good till it ain't." So, and I traded equities and help desk and what have you. But around about 2011, somewhere in there, a couple of buddies of mine and I got together and we put together a company called Noveta Health, which is still in business today, and I'm still the CMO of that, and with a slightly ambitious goal right out of the box. It was to reduce the cost of healthcare for all Americans by changing the system and bringing down the costs in private healthcare, so that we would bring down the whole overall. So we knew out of the gate that we were taking on some very large players who were very powerful and fairly nasty. But we also we had a couple of pretty good Rolodexes. My partners were Wayne Gibson, who was Senator Stevens' chief of staff for 10 years, the all-powerful Senator Stevens from Alaska, who was head of Senate Appropriations, right? And Mark Lindsay, who ran the Clinton administration for the 8 years that he was in, and then went on to work for United Healthcare. He was second in command at United Healthcare. Ooh. He answered only to Hemsley there, and Christy Payne, who was a big executive at American Family Life Assurance Company. So we understood essentially where the bodies were buried and why the United States healthcare system, just across the board, by making a couple of adjustments, could cost everybody in the world at least a third less than it did on a daily basis, just by bringing a little transparency and honesty into the system. So the trouble with healthcare is multifold. Of the 21 industrial countries, rich industrial countries in the world,
we are the most expensive by far. The other 20, they are all, except for one, Sweden, they are all cost about a third per person for healthcare of what we cost here. Sweden's a little bit more than half, just a hair, because there's some similarities in the Swedish system and ours. So everybody wants to know, okay, so where's that money come from? Who's getting it? Is it the hospitals? No, trust me. And a lot of rural access hospitals, are barely hanging on. Many hospitals run on less than a 5% margin. Okay, you've got a couple out there like the Cleveland Clinic and Johns Hopkins who do very well. But other than that, most hospitals really don't make the money. So it's not the hospitals and doctors, right? So one of the things that I give talks sometimes in front of very large groups of physicians, and I always get a laugh by saying, okay, so in the last 10 years, the amount of money that you have paid to insure your employees, your nurses and your receptionists and this, that, and the other deal, has gone up over 2.5 times, 2.58 to be exactly, in the last 10 years, the cost of doing it. And I give me a show of hands if your reimbursements have gone up that same amount during that time. And of course, what I get is I get a huge laugh out of the audience, because they'll any physician will tell you they've actually gone down in that period of time. Okay, so it's not the physicians, it's not the hospitals. Who is it?
Insurance companies.
It's the middlemen are number one, and the insurance companies are number two. It's all the middle of the pie that costs the money. So I'm gonna name you 3 PBMs. PBM stands for perfect business model. Okay. It actually, technically, they'll tell you it stands for pharmacy benefit manager. Okay, but it is the perfect business model. And before I tell you who they are, let me tell you what they make. They don't make anything, but they make money. They earn more money than Microsoft and Home Depot combined. All right, and they don't make a thing. All they do is push electronic paper. They electronically buy it here and bill it here, and that's all they do all day long. They are, in order of how much they make, they are, the top one is Express Scripts. So if you have Blue Cross or anything, odds are if you look on the back of your card, you'll see a little logo from Express Scripts on the back of your card. All right. The next one in line is CVS, right? Who now owns, CVS now owns Aetna. Okay, they bought Aetna. And then the last one is Optum. Optum is wholly owned by United Healthcare Corporation.
Yeah.
And actually, when my partner Mark Lindsay was at United Healthcare, he told them to buy Optum because he knew. And they also bought at that time Magellan, which was a PBM in those days. And of course, Magellan actually had a a little model that was actually pretty fair and it was kind of transparent in its reporting, right? That and Catamaran, the two of them. And so they shelved that. They no longer exist. It's all under the Optum umbrella at this point in time. So just to give you an idea, I'm going to give you the top one. Express Scripts nets in their most recent SEC filing, they netted $7.9 million per employee. So of all those people who sit there all day long on the computers and they move prescriptions around, when you go to the drugstore, they move it around and then they send it to Blue Cross, and then Blue Cross marks it up again, and then they send it to your employer, right? It could be whoever you work for or retired from or whatever. That's where it all comes from. The drug companies in our dealings, actually have not been too bad. And we have our own, we created our own PBM. It is dwarfed by all these PBMs. Our PBM is completely transparent and pass-through. So what's the difference? What's that mean? So if you're insured by ABC Corporation and you walk into the drugstore with your card, I you know, here's my card, and I'm on the, and we you know, it could be any network that we're using for that particular area. And so it's the same network, but the pharmacy benefit manager, right? So it's an outfit called Southern Scripts. And so when you do that, and the pharmacist runs it through the card, the note comes up to him and says, hey, that drug that they're buying, that's only a couple bucks. Let them know that, and if they would like to pay a couple bucks because their copay from their employer is larger than that, just tell them the actual prescription only costs $3. If you give me $3, you can have it, right? Or let's say it's an expensive drug. Let's say it is a Solera or a Humira or something like that. That's very, very expensive. Those drugs get billed to your employer at, you know, like just to say about $5,000 a month, give or take. All right, that's what those drugs cost. Well, that's not what the PBM pays for it. We know it because we're a PBM wholesaler also. We pay for the drug the same amount that, you know, that CVS and Optum and Express Scripts all pay for it. That drug's really about $2,600, let's say. So how did it turn into $5,000? Well, that's where the middle of the pot in healthcare all comes from, and it gets marked up. And in addition to that, on that particular drug, there is a number of rebates. If you've ever heard that word before, there's pharmacy rebates and there's pharmacy admin fees. And that one drug could have anywhere on it from 12 to 59 rebates that come back on that particular drug. All right. So what we do is we collect all those rebates and we credit your employer back toward for that price of the drug. We pass them all through. So the drug was this much. This is what we really paid for it. We credited all the rebates back for you for the price of the drug. And here's what you're really going to pay for it at the end. Additionally, people have copays, right? And copays add up on people, right? So most people, a lot of people you work, you know, you have a copay, 500,000, 1,500, 2,000. Some people have $3,000. Some people have $5,000 copays that they have to spend during the year before they start going. Well, the first thing we do that the coupons that come with the drug, which come from the drug manufacturers, the Pfizers of the world, right? Some of the coupon on that drug could be $1,000, could be $1,000 coupon attached to that drug. Well, the coupon, we pull it out and we use the coupon to pay your, if you're the client, to pay your copay first. Once it's all done, if there's anything left on the coupon, we'll credit it to the manufacturer. So what do we? How do we get paid? Real simple. Every time you get a prescription, we charge your employer, because they're the plan sponsor. We charge your employer $10. And that's what we get. And our contracts, that's what they state right at the top of them, that our sole revenue is our fee, which we tell them up front. And it doesn't matter whether that drug was a $75 amoxicillin because your kid had an earache or this, that, or the other deal, or it doesn't matter whether it was a $93,000 Hep C drug, $10. So by doing that, that allowed us to take a very, very different approach to things. And I'll tell you one from North Carolina. A client of ours in North Carolina is an outfit, Imperial Brown. They are the largest manufacturer in the world of walk-in freezers. Okay. They did really well. Side note, they did really well during COVID. And initially I was like, why are you guys doing so well and you're expanding and hiring? Well, guess what the walk-in freezers were used for during COVID. And so they did very, very well. But normally they're for restaurants, hotels, you know, all that other stuff. So, but it was actually the HR person's son. He's a 15-year-old boy, and he had a very rare disorder, very, very rare disorder. And you had to have a particular chromosome in order for this one drug to work for you. So it was a drug that was made by a small lab in Illinois, and they were the only manufacturer of it in the world. And so when they, you know, needed to move the drug, they signed with CVS to be the, you know, the PBM, you know, to be the middleman for their drug. And so we looked at their runs when, you know, when they came on and we were insuring them, and we looked at their run, and they were Cigna, CVS, CVS was charging them $560,000 a year for this kid to get this injectable drug. Okay. So we looked at it, did a little research on our end, and we figured out that we could send mom and son to Bermuda, because remember, it's only one manufacturer in the world makes this drug. So it's the same drug wherever you get it. But the UK doesn't put up with this middleman that the United States does. So anyway, Bermuda, right? Part of the UK. We sent them over there for a week. They had a wonderful trip together. It was a great bonding experience, you know, and what have you. And they're they stayed in a 5-star resort, and the hospital there, you know, administrated the drug, and then our people walked the drug back through medical customs so that he would have enough for the rest of the year. We did all that for $48,200. There's the difference between our and some of the other systems. And that will not break. It's extremely hard, and we've worked incredibly hard on it, and we've done all kinds of things, but it really is a very, very tough thing to break, because all that money that I was talking about, that, you know, that the PBM cartel makes, right? They take some of that money and they give it to politicians very wisely. And they spread it around in a few other different ways, but that's one of the things that they do with it. There is one law in this country that could be changed, and it would completely change the amount that prescriptions cost. And it's called the Safe Harbor Rule. And if it was eliminated by Congress, it would completely change the competition out there for drugs, and it would bring the cost down for all Americans. You can't get anybody to vote for it. Doesn't matter whether they're Democrats or Republicans or whatever, because the thought of not getting those funds to help with your re-election campaign is beyond their scope of thought. So they won't do it. I will tell you that I got a call this is a couple of years ago, and I got a call, and it was a friend of mine, good friend of mine, from a very high powered think tank that was the president's go-to, you know, at that point in time on the think tank. And he called me up, Travis. He called me up, and it was 8 o'clock in the morning, which was an odd time for him to call me. And so I answered the phone, and I said, Travis, what's up? He said, hey, did you see the president, you know, tell everybody that before he got on the helicopter, that he was going to have a big announcement in a couple of days that was going to make an enormous difference in healthcare? And I said, yeah, I did say that. I said, what is that announcement? He said, what the hell do you think I'm calling you for? He said, so what's the announcement? What are we going to do? And I said, Trav, I said, it's easy. Just eliminate the the safe harbor rule. Just eliminate that. And he said, well, what's the catch to that? I said, well, the catch to that is all the senators and congressmen will no longer get any blood money if they do that. Silence on the other end of the phone. And about 10 seconds later, he said, "What's plan B?" I said, "There is no plan B, unfortunately." You know, so but it's always that way, and I honestly don't really see it changing. There's a small little army of us out there who are trying to work, you know, to change the whole system and make a difference. And it happens in multiple aspects, you know, of medicine. And there's a lot of things that you overpay for, and it always comes down to, you know, who's getting a markup. You know, you have the insurance agent has their hand in it. They're getting a skim. Skim's a huge word. They're getting a skim off it. So anyway, just to say we know this works. All the municipalities, companies that we insure, and we insure everything from small all the way up to defense contractors. The minute we take them over, right out of the gate in year one, their overall bill. So if they were a small group and they were paying $1 million, right, for their insurance every year, which, by the way, just to give you an idea, that's about an 80-person employer who spends about $1 million a year on healthcare. Okay, it's about 80 people, somewhere in there. The first year that we do it, they end up spending like 700, 680, somewhere in there, which, you know, that just shows you the fact that there is in the American health system. All right, so we know the problem, and we know how monumental it is, but that's really where it is. And if any politician in the world ever tells you that they're gonna do something that's gonna make a huge difference in everything, it's just not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen, because every single one of them take this money, you know. But so what do? We try to do what we can do, you know, as things go. So we work with FQHC, federally qualified health communities, you know, who serve you know, individuals who typically don't either have access or don't have the funds, you know, for private insurance or, you know, what have you. We try to do a whole number of things that help them. So one of the things we do under my company, Oakham Health, is that we're the national underwriter for Cologuard. Okay, you've probably seen it. You've seen it on commercials. You probably even saw the Super Bowl commercial with the dancing box, right? You know, talking to everybody. Well, so Cologuard's actually been around for a very, very long time. And Cologuard is incredibly accurate. All right. So if you have a Cologuard test and you get a negative back on your Cologuard test, you can be 99.86% sure that you do not have a single colorectal cancer cell in your body. The difference between someone taking a Cologuard test for the cost for their employer, because all this affects all of us, and we all end up paying for it at the end of the day. That's $660 versus the average cost of a colonoscopy, which is $4,500.
Yep.
Okay. So it's simple, and a lot more people, especially men, will use Cologuard and catch colorectal cancer early, right? Which it keeps us away from the enormous bills later when you're trying to deal with it. And because men are, as the women in the room know, are incredible babies. Incredible. If it was up to men, if procreation was up to men, the human race would have died out 10,000 years ago. Right? So men don't like to do that. They don't want to get a colonoscopy, but they're really good at pooping in a bucket. So they like that, and Cologuard catch it. And here's another weird thing with it. So colonoscopies, you know, your doctor says, oh, you ought to get one every 10 years. The reason why he says you ought to get one every 10 years is because they're $4,500, and insurance companies will pay for them more often than every 10 years. And in the meantime, every 3 years, I'll get my Cologuard Because I can't tell you how many people we've looked through our insurance runs and saw that somebody got one at 50, and this happened to my father-in-law, got one at 50, got one at 60, got one at 70, and died at 74 from colorectal cancer. Because that time in the middle's, you know, enough to do it. So these are all just things that we do. We everything we do, we have we also run iCell screen, which is an inexpensive at-home pap test that women can do, and that's very good for getting to lower income populations. We now have a whole entire panel that will tell a woman of childbearing age, you know, how set she is, you know, for fertility, and the whole thing. You know the numbers that fertility costs for couples, young couples or whatever. The whole thing's done for $250. So so we try to do things like that. Now for the Eastern Shore. So one of the biggest problems that we see on the Eastern Shore is here in Northampton and Accomack County. There are over 5,000 diagnosed diabetics, type 2, in Northampton, Accomack. And so we are already in the planning stage, making plans. We are most likely thinking we are going to probably open the clinic up on the border between Northampton and Accomack, right up around there. And so we can get, you know, people, you know, pulling in from driving the the kind of meet in the middle, you know, type of thing. So there hasn't really over time been any particular solution for type 2. All the things you see out there, you know, you see in the commercials, Ozempic, you know, people who take insulin bolus and what have you. Those are measures which are made to quell, if you will, the effects, or slow the effects of type 2, but they don't. And our process is actually a reversal process, and so we give a simple infusion. We give fast acting insulin, which has been around 70 years. Yeah, about 70 years. We give it in incredibly small little doses, and we give it pulsatile in the infusion every 4 minutes, just like your pancreas does, right? A lot of people think that you spike up when you eat, and then everything all the rest of the time is like this. That's not actually the case. While we're sitting here, every 4 minutes, your pancreas is telling your body, your cells, open, close, open, close, open, close, open, close, take in, and so when you I'm giving you the easy version of this. So when you put it back the way the body was intended to give it, the body relearns in a fairly quick manner of a couple of weeks back to how it is. So it weight loss, it removes 95% of neuropathy, 76% improvement in kidney function, So we think with over 5,000 diagnosed diabetics, which typically means if you have that, then you probably have another at least 2,500 undiagnosed or what they call pre-diabetics. Here, we think that could be one of the better things for the to get out of the gate with here for the Eastern Shore. This is FDA approved. We've already infused 87,000 happy people in different parts of the country, world, what have you. So we have the research. We know it works. It's easy. There's no side effects to it. Less than 1% get mildly nauseous. That's the only side effect of the whole thing. It's really simple. It's giving you insulin simple the way the body does. When you get insulin bolus, the problem with that is you do spike way up and then you drop, and because your body treats it like a drug, not a hormone. Your body's supposed to treat insulin like a hormone. So anyway, that's one of the things that we are working on right now. And we also see this mechanism as being a great vehicle for the rural access hospitals in that for treating their patients and raising their revenue. But again, this is all pretty inexpensive. This is billed to Medicare, private insurance, and Medicaid. Just if anybody wants to know, full disclosure, we bill Medicare $320 for an infusion. So even if someone was fairly insulin resistant, you might get 4 of these treatments out of the gate in a month, and then you'll go to every other week, and and eventually as you get better down to some people get down to once a month. Their drugs reduce, so that costs less money, and $320 a pop is a long way from limb loss, or all the other things that happen when you're type 2 diabetic. And so it's again, same thing. Everything we do is designed to help the healthcare system improve on its overall costs. But that's our initial thought for probably the most direct thing that we can do for the Eastern Shore. And so that's where we're going now.
This diabetes thing, did you say you would not only open your clinic, but you would license the hospitals to do it as well, or are you just gonna?
We absolutely would. If the hospitals wanted to do that, not a problem. We'll open ours, we'll license the hospitals, whatever we need to do. We're not in the United States. There are 86 million diagnosed type 2 diabetics, and another 50 million people who are most likely pre-diabetic, heading that way, who need the clinic. So we're not really territory worried. It's a target rich environment. And whoever wants to do it and help.
Have you talked to rural health, for example?
I haven't yet. So this is
one of our members kind of runs that thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh. Well,
we're at the right place.
What we have found is medicine's a little funny about change. They don't really care for it. And just to give you an example, so gallstones, right? Initially, right back in the day, they used to operate on gallstones, and when the sonic the machine that sonically blasts them and breaks them up first came out, I couldn't tell you how many years doctors said, oh, that'll never work, I'm not doing that, that's not what we do. It's the only thing doctors do now. I talked to one of the founders of that, and he's like, yeah, it took me like 10 years to convince doctors that this is the way you ought to do this, and now this is all they do. Well, I'll give you another great one. So I do some work with Anthony Carter over at Hampton Roads. And Anthony, he pioneered anterior
surgery,
hip replacement, and and for years he caught all kinds of grief. Oh, that's not how to do it. Everybody prior to that either went from the back or went from the side or whatever. And now they're almost all doing it, anterior. And I can attest to it. I needed my hip done, and he did it, and I went back to work the next day. So I had my hip replaced. I had my hip replaced on a Thursday, and Friday I did 6 hours in work. So it's never took anything greater than Tylenol or arthritis, the 6 hour one, and that was it, and a bunch of ice, and that was it, and it's absolutely fantastic. And I had it done in the first week of October. Scars almost, you can hardly even see the scar now, but but medicine doesn't typically like it. You know, they don't like the change. They're like, oh, they're very much, we do it this way, people. Okay, right? So, right, we do it this way. Okay, great. Well, so what we usually do is we'll come in and we'll open the clinic. And then we literally let the patients tell them, yeah, I want this, you know, and then we seem to make good inroads that way. So anybody else have any questions?
So how does a small community like the town of Cape Charles, who self-insures their employees,
Yeah.
and how do we get out of the PBMs?
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I've got peanut butter and jelly in my head, and that's wrong.
Yeah.
How do we break that cycle? How do we get access to a company like yours to help us get better healthcare?
Well, we're there. We do it for anybody. All it takes is the treasurer and HR, to realize. So who's your network?
Well,
When you pull out your card, who's it on?
it's Blue Cross.
Yeah.
So
So
I need your contact info before you leave here today.
No problem. But yeah, it's yeah, and by the way, Blue Cross is one of the in terms of overall costs,
Yes.
they're one of the worst. They're one of the worst in the world. It's great insurance, and I know a lot of municipalities because that's part of their thing. You get great workers well. It's part of the gig, of municipality. But oh my goodness, they are unbelievable. They are unbelievable. Yeah, and they won't let you break their. If you went to Blue Cross tomorrow and you said to them, hey, your network's great, we're gonna keep it. We're gonna keep your, but we don't want your PBM, which is Express Scripts, right? They say we don't want your PBM, we're gonna do our own PBM. They're gonna tell you, you're under 1,500 people, we won't let you out.
Right.
They'll say that. They'll say we won't let you out. So actually, what we would have to do for that is change you to one of the other networks, either Aetna, Cigna, what have you, and who we lease the network from, and it's all the same coverage. We have literally. I know Barack Obama said this and he got torched for it. We literally haven't had anybody yet had to leave a doctor. One time we thought we did. We had the call, and the woman called this and that, and we called the doctor's office. So what's the problem? He said, I'm retiring next week. I said, well, I can't, that one I'm out. If guy's retiring, you're gonna lose him no matter what. But anyway, but whatever it is, if you know what you spend on it as a town, think of it being a third less.
We need that.
At least a third
Because
less.
you mentioned your example was 80 employees. That was your example?
Yeah.
We're 50. We're less than 50.
Yeah.
And we're just about the same as what you quoted.
About $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could easily be 700.
And
Easily.
all you are paying that cost.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Yes. And take that and multiply it across every town and county, across the whole United States, and you realize that healthcare is an unsustainable train wreck that is coming. Whether anybody likes it or not, it's coming. It's coming for us. There are states like New York where the expense of healthcare is now over 50% of their entire budget goes into healthcare, and that is unsustainable. So,
One last, are you a public company?
no.
Oh.
I like your thinking though. The club has made a gift to the Literacy Council.
Yeah.
And we sent this book out to 5-year-olds who
Okay.
completed the Dolly Parton Imagination Library offerings.
Okay.
It becomes the kid's first chapter.
Okay.
And they are putting these little labels inside, and we'll see that your name and that of Auckland Health is on one of them.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand for the Rotary Pledge? Is it the truth? Is it fair law? Will it build goodwill and better relations? Will it be beneficial to all citizens? And number 5, go in service, ladies and gentlemen.
Goodbye, everyone.
Okay, we're going off record. We're leaving, folks.